Imagine this. You're sipping coffee on your porch, sun just rising, and the soft clucking of your hens drifts across the yard like nature's alarm clock. It's peaceful, until you notice a figure marching down the street, clipboard in hand, scowl carved deeper than a canyon. That's when I knew Karen had arrived. Karen, the self-appointed queen of our HOA, had made it her mission to scrub the neighborhood clean of anything that didn't fit her magazine-perfect image. She tolerated no lawn ornaments, no trucks in driveways, and certainly no chickens. Unfortunately for me, I had 6 of them. Now, these weren't just random birds scratching around in the dirt. These hens were my pride, my stress relievers, and my daily source of eggs. They had names, personalities, and quirks that made them feel more like family than livestock. But to Karen, they were barnyard filth, lowering her precious property value. That morning, she wasted no time stomping up my porch. "Do you realize," she snapped, waving her clipboard, "that your chickens are a nuisance? They're noisy, unsanitary, and absolutely unacceptable under HOA guidelines." I sipped my coffee slowly, watching her face turn redder by the second. "Karen," I said calmly, "they're just clucking. That's quieter than your leaf blower every Saturday." Her eyes narrowed. "This is your official notice. You'll remove them or face daily fines." For a moment, I felt my stomach sink. She wasn't bluffing. This HOA had power, and Karen loved flexing it. But as she strutted away, muttering about suburban standards, an idea sparked in my mind, one she never saw coming. If Karen wanted to play games, I'd play smarter. My hens weren't nuisances. They were my therapy, and I knew just how to prove it. That night, I dug through every regulation, law, and loophole I could find. What I discovered made me laugh out loud. In our state, therapy animals were protected. And guess what? Chickens could qualify. The next morning, while Karen was likely drafting a fresh stack of violation letters, I was on my laptop filling out paperwork. I wasn't just keeping my chickens, I was giving them official status that would put them beyond her reach. I could already imagine the look on her face when she found out. This was no longer about chickens. It was about outsmarting Karen at her own game. The paperwork went through faster than I expected. A quick consultation with a licensed therapist, a signed letter, and suddenly my 6 hens had a new title: Registered Therapy Animals. Each one, from feisty Henrietta to shy little Peep, was now officially recognized as part of my mental health support system. I'll admit, I chuckled as I printed the certificates and slid them into a neat folder. Karen thought she had me cornered, but she had no idea she'd just walked into her own trap. A few days later, right on cue, Karen stormed down my driveway again. Clipboard clutched like a weapon. Her lips were pursed so tightly, they looked like they might vanish altogether. She didn't even say hello. "You've ignored the notice," she barked. "The chickens are still here, and fines will begin immediately." I smiled, calm as ever, and handed her the folder. "Actually, Karen, you might want to take a look at this before you embarrass yourself." She flipped it open, scanning the documents. At first, her eyes narrowed in confusion, then widened in disbelief. "Therapy? Chickens? This is a joke." "No joke," I replied. "Certified, protected, completely legal. You can't touch them." Her face turned crimson. For a second, I thought she might actually explode. She sputtered, waving the papers like they were forged. "This is outrageous. Chickens are not therapy animals." I leaned back in my chair, enjoying every second. The state disagrees, and the HOA's rules can't override federal protections. I'd suggest you let it go before you get the board into legal trouble. Karen stomped her foot like a child denied candy. "This isn't over," she hissed. "I'll bring this up at the next board meeting." I shrugged. "Please do. I'd love to explain it to everyone. Maybe even the local news if they're interested." That stopped her. For the first time, she hesitated. Karen thrived on control, but the last thing she wanted was to look foolish in front of her little kingdom. She snapped the folder shut and shoved it back at me. "Fine, but if those chickens cause one single problem, noise, smell, anything, I'll be back." As she stomped off, Feathers rustled behind me. Henrietta hopped onto the porch rail and clucked as if mocking her retreat. I couldn't help laughing. Karen thought she'd won the battle. What she didn't realize was that the war had only just begun. Karen was never the type to accept defeat gracefully. After my little therapy animal reveal, she didn't retreat quietly. No, she doubled down, determined to prove that my chickens were, in her words, a public menace destroying neighborhood harmony. A week later, flyers appeared in every mailbox. On them, in bold red letters, was a headline, "Chickens Threaten Our Community Standards." Below it were blurry photos of my hens, pecking at grass like they were plotting a coup. Karen had even added dramatic captions, "Noise pollution," "Health hazard," "Property value nightmare." I laughed when I saw it, but my neighbors weren't as amused. Some were confused. Others were clearly entertained. Old Mr. Jenkins across the street waved a flyer at me and said, "Don't let her ruffle your feathers, son. Those birds are quieter than her yapping poodle." Still, Karen wasn't content with flyers. At the next HOA meeting, she unleashed her full campaign. I went, of course, folder of documents tucked neatly under my arm. The room was packed, and Karen strutted to the front like a general before battle. "We cannot allow this," she declared, slamming one of her flyers on the table. "Chickens do not belong in civilized neighborhoods. They are disruptive, unsanitary, and frankly, an embarrassment to us all." A few people nodded politely, but more looked unconvinced. That's when she pointed directly at me. "You, sir, are violating the spirit of our community. Therapy animals? Please. This is nothing but a loophole." The room murmured. All eyes turned to me. That was my cue. I stood calm as ever and opened my folder. "Ladies and gentlemen, I understand concerns, but these hens are not just pets. They are certified therapy animals protected under state and federal law. Their presence is entirely legal, and their benefit to my health is documented by a licensed professional." I handed a copy of the certification to the HOA president. He adjusted his glasses, read it carefully, then nodded. "He's right. Legally, our hands are tied." The room buzzed. Some neighbors chuckled. One even clapped. Karen, meanwhile, looked like she'd bitten into a lemon. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "Next thing you know, we'll have therapy goats and therapy pigs roaming around." From the back, Mr. Jenkins piped up. "Better than therapy Karens, if you ask me." The room erupted in laughter. Karen's face went scarlet, and she stormed out before the meeting could adjourn. For the first time, it wasn't me she was fighting against. It was her own reputation unraveling. Karen didn't show her face for a week after that meeting, but I knew better than to think she'd given up. No, Karen was plotting, and sure enough, her next move was her boldest and her biggest mistake. One Saturday morning, I woke up to frantic clucking. I ran outside to find my hens scattering in every direction, the coop door wide open. And who was standing right there? Clipboard tucked under her arm, phone in her hand? You guessed it, Karen. "I've got animal control on the way," she sneered. "We'll see how your therapy chickens survive without a coop to hide in." I was stunned, not just at her audacity, but at the fact that she had physically trespassed onto my property and tampered with my animals. That wasn't just an HOA violation. That was breaking the law. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Karen," I said calmly, "you just broke into my yard, opened my coop, and harassed federally protected therapy animals. Care to repeat that for the camera?" Her smug grin faltered. You can't film me." "Oh, I can," I replied. "And this is going straight to the police. Along with the locks she cut to get in," I added, holding up the broken padlock she thought I wouldn't notice. Her face drained of color. This is a misunderstanding," she stammered. But before she could spin another excuse, the sound of sirens cut through the air. Animal control arrived first, expecting to see neglected birds. Instead, they found plump, healthy hens pecking happily at the grass. Then the police pulled up. I showed them the video, the broken lock, and the certification documents. Karen tried to argue, but her shrill voice only dug her deeper. The officer finally held up a hand. "Ma'am, you trespassed. tampered with property, and interfered with protected therapy animals. You're coming with us. The look on her face as she was led to the cruiser? Priceless. Word spread fast. Within days, the HOA board called an emergency meeting. Not about my chickens, but about removing Karen from her position. Neighbors who once tolerated her now spoke openly about her harassment, her bullying, and her obsession with control. By the end of the week, she was voted out. As for me, my hens stayed right where they belonged, clucking contentedly every morning. Not only had I kept them, but I'd also exposed Karen for what she truly was. In the end, the chickens weren't just my therapy. They were my secret weapon. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more wild HOA and Karen tales. Drop a like if you think the chickens deserve their victory, and share your thoughts. In the comments, have you ever dealt with a Karen in your neighborhood? I'd love to hear your stories.